Hey everyone. As you can see, I've come up with a different game to play, and it's Transport Fever 2. Now, as you can see, I have the deluxe edition. That's fine. Uh, there's eventually going to be a final patch for it, a final update. It's not out yet. Yeah, but we'll see what that brings when it becomes. No, I've decided I'm not going to just play a regular game where I just come along and just randomly connect things up and just do whatever, right? Whatever seems appropriate at the time. No, I'm going to do a specific goal. I have a map which I'm going to play, and I'm going to take a particular goal here. Now, the goal is going to be to complete to connect all towns on the map into a complete passenger transportation network, primarily by rail, obviously, because that's going to give better intercity performance, right? But local collector routes inside the towns, that will be a thing too. And initially, there will be no industries. It's going to be passengers only. Now, once the passengers are operating, I might consider adding freight uh, and adding industries. I'll be playing with the sandbox mod, so I can create industries and so on. Blow up towns, whatever. But I'm not going to generally, and until. But anyway, the first goal, and maybe we'll call that season one. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how long it'll take. Uh, will will be to get a complete passenger network. And here's the rub on that in 1850. So I'm going to freeze the clock in 1850. Now, that sounds like it's probably a horrible idea and probably be tedious and everything. So, if I get things right, I will be editing the episodes to reduce the boredom, or doing some stuff off camera. But no, the idea is I want to get a full network built out in 1850. Now, what that does is it completely removes the real choice on what train to build, right? Because there's really only one option then. And that means that I can concentrate on getting the train networks and the stations and everything in place. So that's the idea, and I'm going to take a little bit more time, I think, making things look nicer. I think that's the goal, but I won't be able to do that initially because the other part of the challenge is I still have to earn the money to build it. Now, obviously, once I get 4 or 5 interconnected towns going with passenger connections or whatever, that won't be an issue anymore. But the initial startup, that's going to be the challenge. Okay. Now, I do have some mods. I have Common API 2 and a few others here. But why don't I just start up the game here? So we're going to start a free game and we're going to play a map. And it's going to be, I believe it is dry lands with towns. Yes. Uh, and it's a megalomaniac size map also. Uh, uh, so, so we have a number of mods enabled here. Um, Realistically, they're not going to make all that much difference, but yeah, that is the thing. Uh, so if we go in basic settings here, we're going to allow up to 6 cargo types. Obviously, that won't affect anything. and industry closure and industry density target are disabled. Starting with no industries and enabling industry density target will allow them to pop up as you play. I might do that once the passenger network is built. Okay, so cancel that. And these options, advanced settings, we have dry climate. We're going to allow all, you know what? We're just going to allow initially American vehicles. And we're going to do regular medium difficulty, and all of these can just do what? No. Can just do their thing, right? Okay, so we'll apply that. And we will start the map. Now, initially, I haven't looked closely at this map, so I don't know exactly where I'm going to start. But I think I'm going to start somewhere central. Oh, the other restriction I want on this particular map is one central depot for the rail. Yeah, uh, and that's going to be that's going to add a little bit of a challenge for deploying trains, right? So, and it means the network has to stay connected. Okay, now in here, you'll note that we do have town connections with roads. So we have that. Now, as you can see, there's quite a lot of towns here. I think there's over 100 of them. That means our towns will be able to grow quite big once the connections between them are built. And as you can see, it's the dry lands with the mesas and everything, the flat top, the flat highlands and so on, right? So I could, like over here, this would be a perfect spot to build sort of a loop line. Uh, Actually, that would be a perfect spot for a loop line, but no, that's too expensive for initially. We only have 10 million in loan, so doing that initially is going to be a little bit, problematic. But I don't want to start on the edge of the map. I want to start more in the middle. Now, as it happens, so if we come down here, we have quite a few towns all in this flat-ish land area here. Now this isn't actually flat. Well, it is pretty flat actually. But in this flattish area here, we have a whole bunch of towns. And let's just take a look at them. I think New Haven or Chicago here would be good hub towns. Realistically, a big hub station in here would be appropriate, but I don't think that's sensible until I roll the clock forward, and I'll probably do that at some point. So let's just take a look. Chicago is a yeah, it's 66. That's not going to grow much. New Haven is double that. Huntsville is 100. New Haven would actually be Washington. Actually, might be the best hub city actually of all of the best starting city. Not necessarily. Washington to Columbia is probably the. Oh yeah, okay. Washington, Columbia, Durham, because they're all around 200 in base size. 198 there, 191 here. Oh, I'm gonna move my face out of the way so when these things pop up, you could actually read it. Let's see, where is the thing? There we go. Right. So you can, because all this stuff pops up here, right? Right. So we've got here, Columbia is 191, right? Daly is 133, so it's not small. 196 for DC, and New Haven is 112. So this whole area here, all the way from Durham to Washington, D.C., that's a good starting line. What's Naperville? Yeah, okay. Uh, so, so the idea here, I'm going to want to pick a line that I can build relatively inexpensively, that's not going to lose money, right? Um, and where would I put it in Columbia here? Probably Columbia to Durham would be where I'll start. Okay, so where would I put it in Durham? Okay, I'm going to start with smaller stations, and after we have everything built out, uh, I'll probably end up renovating stations as I expand the network, and that is acceptable, right? Once I have the cash to do it. So along here, well, let's just take a look here. We want a passenger station. I'm going to make them 80 meters initially because that's cheaper. And if I put it here, yeah, if I put it here, I cover most of the town. Yeah. Yeah, here is probably about right. Yeah. And this is only 600K to build it here. So, yeah, I'll build that one there. And Columbia, yeah, probably right about here is the right place as well. But let's line it up properly. Yeah, we'll put it here. Bam. Okay, so we've only spent 1 million and change here. Now I need to get a track between the two. Now I'm going to single track most of this, where initially. Eventually, it will all be double tracked, but now, as you can see, I'm going to have to bulldoze town stuff here. But I want to go pretty straight and level through the town here, right? Um, so I'm going to do this. And does level get us here? Well, it's expensive, uh, but it will give the trains a better chance to operate, right? Sanely. Now, apologies for whipping the thing around here, but yeah. So here we've got the same thing, right? Come out of here level, like this, right? And yeah, we're gonna have to bend around here, okay? And this one will have to bend around as well. And then here we will have a slope, I think. Not much of one, but I think there's a slope there. Right. Now this plane here is actually a perfect spot to put the depot. So actually over here is probably better because it's on the same side as the track, right? Of the road, that is. So I want to put it some distance back from the rail line so that when the time comes to expand everything, it's not in the way. So I'm going to just go ahead and wang this around so it's pointed that way. There we go. And now initially, because this is going to end up getting renovated at some point, I just need to get this come up to here. And it just needs to go in one direction onto here. Yeah, so I guess kind of like this. And then we can do come off level, right? And then we can do this. Too much curvature. Oh. Nope. Yeah, okay, that'll do. So now we can actually get a train on there, right? Now, one train should be enough before I unpause and let time roll. These two towns are big enough that there should be a decent number of passengers running between them. Now, so we'll go in here and we'll buy, we have exactly one loco, right? And we have exactly one passenger carriage. This is what I meant in the intro, right? So that gives us 14, that gives us 28. Let's go to a 42 capacity. If we can go up to, with the 80 meter stations, we can go up to 56 capacity. I'm going to stick with 42. I think that's going to be enough for this link. This is 1.4 million. I'll probably end up wanting 2 trains on here at some point, but until I'm double tracking, it's not going to be really that brilliant to do that. So we're going to buy the train. Now, this is going to get a new line, which is going to go between Columbia and Durham. And we'll just name that Columbia to Durham. Yeah. I'm just using a 5-letter abbreviation scheme for these, so that we don't end up with massive line names that overflow the space available to them. Now, at this particular point, I'm going to unpause, although I really should go ahead and build one more connection, but I haven't decided which connection to build, right? So, right. So let's have the fun of just riding the train we've just purchased. Okay. So, oh, is time stopped? Now time is stopped. Okay. Okay, now we've got our train. Let's ride it. So, this is basically the idea of what I want to do. And as I'm going along, I'm going to do a little bit of explanation of why I'm doing what I'm doing, and what the benefits, maybe drawbacks are. Using the shorter stations, the 80-meter stations, means building the stations themselves is quite a lot cheaper, but so is maintenance. And that's going to be important really early on here. Especially since the trains have a cost and so on. Now, this is quite a distance away from the track here. Now, I suspect this track between the two towns here is going to end up becoming a main line. And by main line, I mean it'll be running trains. It'll be a main connector, like a straight through connector, maybe, and eventually running possibly express services, and maybe freight will come along as well. But as you can see here, we've got our level track here, and now if you note, the train is going at about 35 kilometers per hour. And and it will eventually get up to the 40-kilometer max. But the level track will mean that it doesn't end up having issues with hills. So with these early trains, you want to avoid hills if you at all can, and it's definitely worth the extra investment to avoid the hills problem for your initial routes. Once you get to the point where you have to climb a steep hill or helix it or something to get the elevation, then that's fine. Now, we only picked up 4 passengers on this first pickup, and that's not unusual, simply because it takes a while for these things to bed in. Now, I'm going to kick up the game speed, and we'll just follow this all the way on to Durham. Or Durham, if you prefer. See, there's our track going off to the depot. And as you can see here, we're not having any issues with slope. And here we go. We come straight into the station and bang, there we are. And there's a lot more than 4 people to pick up here. We're going to pick up a 2/3 load there. Now, after we've done this train ride back, I'm going to plumb in some local trams, I think, and we'll move some people within the towns, and that will get them to the train as well. As you can see here, we get up to the 40, and we're actually running at top speed by the time we come into the station here. And now you can see there's quite a larger population there, and we are picking up 33. So this is going to do quite well. Now, what I need to do is I'm going to need, how am I going to do the internal town stuff? Well, if we go and we pick up the this layer, you can see we've got industrial here, commercial here, and residential here. Now, passengers want to go from residential to commercial, residential to industrial, or industrial and commercial back to residential. They don't go between industrial and commercial, and that's something to keep in mind when you're setting your lines. Once your towns get big, trying to finesse that, maybe doesn't do much. But the other thing is they will go between towns for all of those, right? So what we want to do, if we get that off here, I want to have a tram stop right at the train station, and then I want to cover, as much of the town as possible on the line parallel to the tracks. And if I need to, I'll put a crosstown one perpendicular to the tracks. It would make more sense to put it over here, actually, potentially. No, as long as, yeah, anyway. Now, here's the thing. If I put a stop here, it will connect with this. And if I put a stop here, it will connect with this and a stop over here, right? So let's just go in here and grab our bus stop. So you see here, our train stop lights up, right? And it does here as well. So if I were to put, and you want these relatively densely spaced so that the passengers will use them instead of walking, or in particular, instead of driving. You can see we've got these horse things going on here, and that's the passengers that aren't being served. So I could put one here. I could put one here. I could put one here. And I could put one here, say. And that covers most of the town. And then I could put one, whoops, don't zoom too much. I'll put one here, could put one here, could put one here, say. And maybe one up here, and that would cover most of the rest of the town, right? So let's start with the along here business. So we're going to put one here, and we're going to put one here, and here, and here. Now, I'm spacing them by a block like that just because. It's just, it's a thing I picked up doing, and it seems to work, so I just do it. Now, I'm also going to put a cross-town line here. So one here, and I'm going to put a stop here, and one here, and one here. Okay? Now, we also need to add tram tracks to this. Right? And we're going to need a tram depot. Right, so we need a tram depot. Where am I going to put it? Well, I will put road depots in each town as appropriate, just because you don't want to be running tram connections at the very least between towns. So if I put this right here, yeah. Now, you might be wondering why I've put it back from the road. Well, I've done that. Whoops. Tools. I've done that so that there's no traffic light coming out onto the road. And I've made this player own so it doesn't build stuff off of this this point here. And we need to get this around like that. Okay. Now we can go in here and we have exactly one tram. So I'm going to put 5 of them on here. I don't on the main longitudinal line. I don't know that that's how many I need. 5 just seemed like a nice round number. I'm going to pause while I do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and this is going to be Columbia longitudinal A. Right? Then we'll come in here and we'll buy 5 more. They're relatively inexpensive, but they are slow, right? And then we're going to do a new line, and it's going to be here, 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 and back. Yeah, and that's going to be Columbia Crosstown. Yeah, okay. Now, if we let things run, let's just take a gander in here. We had a net profit in the previous term, even with 30K in expenses, in building expenses, right? So, okay, well, why don't we just repay some of the loan as it comes up that we can. So we are moving passengers with these trams here. And that's going to bring a few more into here, right? And that's going to move them around Columbia. Now, let's just take a look here. Columbia has got a plus 20% growth factor from 50% for destinations and minus 30% for traffic and pollution, right? You can largely ignore the traffic and pollution numbers. They're capped. They don't ever get fully out of hand. And as long as you have a decent amount of infrastructure and stuff moving around, yeah, you won't lose money because of it. It might be an issue if you're playing on very hard, like with really restricted money, but it's not something that you need to necessarily worry about on your initial on your initial stuff, especially when you're playing on medium, right? So here we've got 27 in here. We're coming in and we drop off passengers, and we picked up a full, like not a full load, a 2/3 load. Now over here, it'll probably want a longitudinal. But I don't think, or not a crosstown, but a longitudinal won't be required over here. So I'm just going to quickly build that, right? Building, yeah. Now I'm not going to put it in line with the track because the track will run through to the next town. So, so we'll put one here, right? And then we can put one here and up here. Yeah. And I guess down here. But you can see the station coverage. These cover everything, right? So I can go ahead and plumb in a tram depot, which I'm going to put right here. Right? Connect it. Tools. Do that. Uh-huh. Okay, build that, that, and that. Right, so now we're going to buy, again, 5. It's just a nice round number. There's nothing... Oops. Yeah, we're a little bit short to do that. Let's just borrow to do that. Buy them. New line. And here, 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 there, back, and back. Okay, and this is Durham Crosstown A. Okay. So that's basically the first connection, right? And that will move passengers back and forth. You can see here we had 309K net on the railroad versus 325K in expenses on building, right? So based on this, we're operationally positive here. Let's pay that. So we're operationally positive in cash flow. And that's where you want to be. Operationally positive. That's the key. Yeah, you can see the thing here. It's yeah, so this is operationally positive. This is also close to operationally positive. Yeah, so 100K in net from railroad plus plus 100, so 140. Yeah, this is operationally positive as well. So if you discount if you take the investments and loan interest and subtract it from the other numbers, like the net number, if you end up with a positive, like actually if you add it to this number, and you end up positive. Yeah, so then you'd be operationally positive, right? Because the vehicle expenses are accounted for in here, right? Okay, yeah, so here, we're 87K positive. And our road vehicles have gone net positive as well. Whether they stay net positive, who knows? But this is, okay, so we got 39 here, 40. Yeah, now we're bringing more people into the train stations, so it might be worth bumping it up to 4-car trains. But some of that could just be pent demand. This is 19. And we're going to leave 7 or 8 behind, a dozen behind. I think it might be a reasonable option to edit the train and add one of these. We need 400K to do that. So we can just take our loan back, modify. Yep. Right. So that will move up to 50 some passengers back and forth and back and back and forth and forth and back. Yep. Right. So we can, now let's just observe in here. You see, it fits nicely into the train station. And we have picked up 53 passengers. Now, some of that's pent demand that was passengers hanging out. We got 41 here. Yeah. Okay. So the train's just going to bimble back and forth here. And I'm going to put the cut in here. And next time we'll look at what to do for the expansion of this network. Now, ultimately, it's going to come through Daly City, past New Haven, and into DC, right? And probably split at New Haven to Huntsville and Everett, and maybe Chicago and Hayward. So there's going to be tracks going every which way over here, right? And from Durham, probably the through line will head to Norman, and then we'll have another line coming in from Garland and maybe heading out to Waco. So I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do that. We don't have. I'll have to check to see if there's mods so we can build. If we can build stations with uh, perpendicular tracks or whatever, but I don't think we can. So I'll have to do something else with the track layout, and that'll be part of the challenge of this whole thing, right? Anyway, that's going to be all for this episode. And I hope you decide you want to come along for the ride on this one. I'm pretty sure there's going to be, well, there's like 120 towns, so there's probably going to be 25 episodes at least, getting to full coverage. I think there'll be a lot of extra tinkering around to do a bunch of stuff. And I think a lot of stuff will end up happening off camera, like plumbing in the local lines in new towns. That's likely going to be off camera. I'll be I'll just magic that up for you guys. Uh, you know, uh, but I'll probably show you the plans for track building and maybe time lapses for the complicated ones. We'll see. We'll see how ambitious I get with editing, really. That's what it comes down to, isn't it? Anyway, if you do want to support the channel, I do have a Patreon, and the link is in the description. If you don't want to support the channel, the link is still in the description, but you can ignore it. It doesn't cost you anything to do that, but it's there if you want to use it. You can also do the usual YouTube business like liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing, all that business, right? You can do that. Or not, as you see fit. It's entirely up to you. This is the great thing about YouTube. You're in the driver's seat, right? Anyway, all that said, see you back next time.